How y'all doing? I'm Paul Ryan, your host of the Across the Cowboys podcast. If you're new to the show, thank you for joining us. And to our regular listeners, welcome back. With me, as always, is my co-host, the freakiest co-host in the world, Mike the Pig Crum. Mike, how are you?
Doing good. I forgot about that post. Wedge, man.
Oh yeah, I forgot for a second. That took me a second.
Wedge and I are little horn dogs on little freaky on not at each other, but towards the ladies on Twitter. Wedge is a freak.
Yeah, I see that, Mike. Mike, where can we find you on OnlyFans?
At CD Piglet, all of them. Instagram, OnlyFans, Twitter, probably Facebook. I think there's still one on there. Snapchat. It's always at CD Piglet.
Do you have an OnlyFans, Mike? Be honest.
I don't.
He would post it on Snapchat.
I have a Snapchat. I have a Instagram. I have Twitter, and I have a Facebook, but I only have that because of the Oculus. Otherwise, I wouldn't even have a Facebook. I'm not heavy into social media like that.
I got you. Joining us tonight is president of the Jake Ferguson fan club, Brenden Fergy Smith. Brenden, how are you?
I'm doing great today, but you know what? Not that great yesterday. I was kind of an awful showing.
Yeah, I hear that, man. Well, Brenden, where can we find you on X, aka Twitter?
You can find me at Brenden_Smith26.
I am Paul Ryan. You can find me on X at Paul_Ryan15. Well, as the saying goes, all good things must come to an end, and such is the case with the Dallas Cowboys. After 5 straight victory Mondays, the boys and I have to discuss the unfortunate loss of the Buffalo Bills. But before we discuss anything football related, we must discuss one thing and one thing only. Of course, I'm referring to my personal favorite segment, Meatless Monday. Mike, tell me something good was on the menu today.
Yeah, it was pretty good. I had a mushroom and quinoa omelet. Basically rosemary, salt, and pepper is the flavoring there because mushrooms and eggs and them don't have really any flavors. So you got to add and quinoa really. So yeah, you know the mushrooms give you the texture, the quinoa's filling, the eggs are the protein, and then the rosemary is kind of the flavor. So it was really good. And I'm up a bib salad tonight. That's some lettuce, butternut squash that's been roasted. There's dried cherries, walnuts and pecans, and some green apples in there. Rabbit food, but it's actually really, really good, like shockingly good.
All the textures and all the senses are going to be satisfied after that salad.
That's what, yeah. It's part of the reset, and the one thing he's really good at is making sure it's texturally really good, and that's important to me. And then it has sweet elements. You know, the apple's tart, the dried cherries are sweet, the nuts bring texture. And then the dressing is very vinegar forward. So that brings your acid. So it's really well balanced. I eat that salad even when I'm not on a reset. It's really good.
It's weird. It's like foods that have a multiple textures are a lot more satisfying, a lot more filling.
Yes, agreed. I think texture is it. Look at how our top 5 cereals. Almost basically every cereal I picked was because they don't get soggy. Like I'm a big texture person.
I almost picked up a bag of s'more cereal today, Mike, at the grocery store, but I wanted to eat the cereal that I have first. But man, I was tempted to grab that s'more cereal.
It's good, man. It's surprisingly really good.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that top 5 last week. I'm equally, if not more excited about our top 5 segment this week. I'll admit.
The Brenden top 5.
Yes, sir. All right, guys, enough talk about food, man. Let's go ahead and get through this. I know it's not going to be a fun discussion tonight, but not to take anything away from the Buffalo Bills and what they did, but Mike, when you look at this game, was this a bad Dallas game or a good Buffalo game?
I gotta lean more bad Dallas, and I think it comes from the start. Tank Lawrence, late hit on Josh Allen. I know a lot of people didn't like because Josh Allen flopped and he claimed to hit the face mask, which he didn't. But Tank did hit him late. It didn't have to be called, but it wasn't like oh my God, the refs are out to get us. Like he did hit him late. Like it was stupid. It was unnecessary. So there was that cost us 4 points because that should have been a field goal. and then Dak misses Cook deep on the next one, wide open on the second play of the game. I mean, you got to hit that. Especially we've been sitting here talking about he's an MVP. MVP level quarterbacks aren't missing those often. And then there was the block punt by Sam Williams. I mean, I was yelling blocked punt because he got through, and I was like, oh, and then I'm looking like, wait, what happened? I asked Mitchell, I'm like, how the hell did he get that through? And Mitchell's like, I don't know. And then it showed the replay, and I guess he jumped and it like went under his body. And then he hits the guy and gets a roughing. And they score on that drive. So instead of like hitting Cooks for a touchdown, stopping them for a field goal, and then maybe a block punt touchdown where you're up 14-3, they come down, score, they're up 14-0. And then from there, you just couldn't stop the run. It's crazy. James Cook averaged over 4 yards a carry before contact. Averaging 4 yards a carry is like, wow, you had a good rushing game. 4 yards a carry before he was touched, he averaged. That's just bad. That's on you. Whether it's, we'll talk about like how what Quinn did or the effort of the players or whatever. There's only so much Buffalo can do where you're not touching people before 4 yards on a run. That's craziness. So Buffalo did great, but it was bad Cowboys. Didn't even make Josh Allen throw. He didn't even have 100 yards. He didn't have to do anything. Yeah. Insane.
Brenden, what about you? What are your thoughts? Was this a bad Dallas game or a good Buffalo game for you?
It's both, because they had the mixture to beat. They knew the scheme. They knew everything that could beat us easily. But no, Mike hit it right on the nose, dude. These atrocious penalties. It's like, oh, the refs are out there. They weren't. But y'all are smarter than this. Like, come. I'll get into later about Sam Williams. I got some things to say about that man. But dude, I know you're big. It's so much fun to see a big guy going down on punts or trying to block a punt. It's so much fun to watch. You are 6'3", 6'4", 250, 260. How the hell do you first miss the ball and then you're just throwing your body at a 6 foot, 190 pound punter? Like,
you should have grabbed the ball from. I'm sorry.
No, you're
grabbed the ball from him, from his, like, took it off his foot. He was in there.
Yeah. Yeah. I was, no, you're good. I completely agree with you, but it's stupid penalties. Coaching played like they were terrified to lose. That one deep play is all we had, basically, to Cooks. It's like, okay, cool. We did our deep shot. It didn't work. Let's throw to the sideline now. Let's throw out routes that your wide receivers can't get open from. It was all just bad. But we talk about this every time we've lost besides Seattle. Besides Philly. That is the only time we've talked about a loss where we didn't bring up these points. That's the only time. Arizona played like ass. San Fran, I don't really want to talk about that game. That brings back just a lot of bad memories. But like, you have one good play and then everything else just goes awful. So, yeah, bad Dallas.
Being in Buffalo was a bit of an ugly weather game. The rain started to really take kind of not take hold necessarily, but come down in the second half. And there were some issues with the wind all game. How much did weather play a factor in this game, do you think, Brenden?
Of course, it has a factor because you're playing in a dome. You're used to just playing with 70-degree weather, or maybe you have a door open. You'll have a little bit of wind. But what they were doing, what they were trying to do, didn't matter. I guess they ran the ball a little bit more. You can say Buffalo did with the weather. But no, the drops were like, dude, it slipped out of his hand. No, it was no, the weather did not mean that much to the loss.
Michael, do you think the weather played a factor at all?
No, I don't. What they lost by was more scheme and just getting punished than it was like he said, a ball slipping out of somebody's hand for a fumble or a drop or something like that. It was poorly schemed up defensively and poorly executed on both sides.
Yeah, absolutely. And, it's always tough to discuss a loss like this, especially a double-digit loss when nothing's going right. But you haven't had a lot of questions about the Dallas offense. But when you look at this game, Mike, was it run defense or pass protection? Which area is most worrisome going forward in Dallas?
I got to say pass protection only because if Dak's good, you're going to be in these games. If you're protecting Dak, you're going to have a chance to win, even if the deep run, like before this game, which we're going to talk about later on. I basically have this as an answer later, but the run defense was 32nd ranked EPA per rush allowed. So they were the worst team versus the run. It's just the offense would get you ahead, or the defense would get a turnover, or something would happen where and we would start getting ahead and teams couldn't run on us. And that was our chance to stop the run, is our offense doing really well or our defense turning over the ball and us getting a lead. And so if Dak is good in pass protection and we can move the ball, eventually, we'll either play our way out of them running, or we'll go tick for tack with them. They come down the field, we get the ball, we come down the field. So it isn't as big a deal because we were 10-3 going in, and we were the worst run defense in the league if you do it analytically, if you look per play. So pass protection, if we can't stop a 4-man rush and they're allowed to play 7-man zones behind us, that has been an issue routinely in our losses.
Brenden, what about you? Are you more concerned with the run defense or the pass protection?
Well, I was, and I still am leaning more run defense, but Mike is really convincing. He almost dissuaded me back over, but I completely agree with Mike. If Dak can go take for 10, if you get ran on 49 times, you're not going to win. I don't care if Mahomes is at his ultimate MVP throwing for 50 touchdown level. You're not winning. Your defense is getting blown, and it's bad. Also, the pass protection, that's called Terrence Steele. I worried about it. I didn't want to say anything. I wasn't going to jinx anything. I was worried about it, and I was rightfully so. But your defense couldn't stop a nosebleed. I feel like I could have just thrown my body out there. I wouldn't have done anything, but at least I would have filled something. Like, they were just tackling all downfield. It was just awful. It made me think of how our defense was Jalen Smith out there.
Maybe you could have filled the B gap a little bit better than what the Cowboys did yesterday, Brenden. That would have been nice to see.
All they could have done is just like, hey, we're getting our ass kicked. You run to the B gap. I don't care if they're running opposite side. Y'all fill those gaps. You know where it is. I'm not saying read the play at all. Just be there. See what happens.
Yeah, another question about this defense is we haven't suffered any major injuries, thankfully, outside of Trayvon Diggs. But when you look at the depth of the defense, is it a problem in your eyes gearing toward this playoff run, Brenden? Yeah,
because you have your linebackers. You have 3. I'm not counting Tyrus Wheat. I'm not counting him as a linebacker. But you have Marquise Bell, Damone Clark, and Rashawn Evans. Those are small guys. Yeah. They are small. Pass coverage, Damone Clark and Marquise Bell have been awesome. I've loved what I've seen. They're so much fun. There's so much, I don't play Madden much, but there's so much fun to use a Madden because they're fast. They can't do anything. You see what happens when Jonathan Hankins is out. Mozzie wasn't even out there that much. He wasn't. I saw Chauncey Golston out there more. Chauncey freaking Golston, who's a pass rushing 3-tech, who is also defensive end, is just trying to stop anything. It's god awful. They're saying move Micah there. Micah didn't play well against the run. Like, what do you want? There was no one there that could have tackled Leighton. If Leighton was there, he would have filled the wrong gaps too. So, there's nothing Dallas honestly could have done.
Micah, are you concerned with the depth of this defense as of today?
Yeah, I would say you have to be. Like he said, your linebacker core is small and not a lot of them. You're one cornerback away from being in trouble. Your DTs without Hankins are very meh. Run stopping especially, holding up against double teams especially. Now, is this true for a bunch of teams? Sure. Like a lot of teams, 1 or 2 injuries knock you out, but we're in big trouble if we lose a cornerback. If you lose the guy whose name I'm not going to say, or one of the 2 main guys on your D line, you're in.
Don't put it in the air,
done, basically. So yeah, they're very limited in how they could win. They can win, but it's a very thin line to be able to do it, and they're 1 injury away at 3 spots from being no chance.
Yeah, it's scary, man. We're not going to say those names will not be mentioned, but my God, I can't imagine losing one of those guys.
Yeah.
Mike, what is your confidence level in Dallas winning a road playoff game?
Depending on the team, I would say 7.5 out of 10 versus most of the NFC teams. 1 out of 10 if we got to go to San Francisco. So, that you got to avoid that team. But, I don't know if I'd pick say Philly ended up winning this and Niners lose to the Ravens and Philly gets the 1 seed and we're the 5 seed and we beat, we beat whoever and go into Philly. I would go into that game about 50-50 confidence. Okay, they're off a bye, but we know how to beat Philly. We'll see what happens. It's going to be who turns the ball over, who gets the call at the right time, at the right spot, who can make a big play. It'll be a close one. So I would say that game would be like a 5 or a 6. First round guys going into Atlanta, going to New Orleans, going into Tampa Bay, I'm high, 8, 9, 10, and then going into San Francisco, I have 0 confidence. So, it depends on your different team that you're playing.
Brenden, what about you? Are you as not confident as Mike is?
Only against one team. The thing is, you can say the weather is a factor. People have been saying that they're like, oh, the field. The only team that can have bad weather is Philly in the NFC. That's the only time you'll hit anything. San Fran, it's in California. Nothing's gonna happen. Detroit, you're in a dome. If you're playing at home, you're in a dome. All the other teams are in the South, so you're good. They don't have very much good of a run game. Jahmyr Gibbs is scary a little bit. Honestly, he's kind of scaring me more and more as I watch him.
Man. Yeah, watch out.
And so, Detroit's running game, that's the only thing that scares me on their team. It's San Fran. That's the only team that truly why are we here? That's the only team that scares me. That's the only road game that's pretty bad.
Yeah, Prescott, our guy, has a question here. What are your thoughts on the idea that 1 seed might end up having to go through both of the other 2, Philly and Dallas, or vice versa, whereas the 2 seed might only have to go through one of the other 2 juggernauts?
Yeah, that's what my friend who's a Niner fan says the same thing. He goes, oh, I don't want to be the 2 seed. I want to be the 1 seed. I mean, Strike that, Willy Wonka, reverse it. Great movie, by the way, the new Wonka. The 2 seed is what my friend wants to be. He's like, I'm not he goes, let Philly beat Seattle, knock them out. We'll take the 2 seed because when you guys beat whoever the South team is, you can go play Philly and we'll take the other team on. We'll take on Detroit or whoever, and then only have to play one of you guys in the championship game. So yeah, that's my Niner fan friend's feeling.
Makes sense. Let's see here, Mike. Awesome to hear that on Wonka. I'm really wanted to see that. I'm a big fan of Timothée Chalamet or Jimothy Shamwow. It looks like it'd be kind of a funny movie. Hugh Grant looks like he might be actually kind of the star of the show there.
Hugh Grant is good. He's not in a ton of it, but when he's in, he is the star.
Yeah. Brenden, do you see similarities between the losses against better competition?
Like I said earlier, besides Philly's the only loss where I'm like, well, we should have won. Arizona murdered you. I know you came back in the end and you could have won. Awful scheme in the end. That play still pisses me off. I know exactly the interception and everything, but Arizona runs down your throat. San Fran runs down your throat. They didn't have to. George Kittle had 3 touchdowns. They destroyed you. But it still happened. James Cook. How did James Cook not get the game ball? I know they want to do it for morale.
Yeah.
But are you joking? If Tony Pollard goes off and Dak didn't do much, oh, hey, here's Dak. I'm like, brother, no. James Cook carried your team. I know the defense played great too, but if you didn't have James Cook, that game is so different. I can't even say it that much. Ty Johnson killed us as well.
Yeah. Mike, what about you? Do you see any similarities in these losses against San Francisco, Philly, and now the Bills?
Yeah, they run the ball, they limit possessions, they play zone and try to get pressure with 4. And if you're successful at doing that, you typically beat Dallas. Even in the Eagles game, if you watch the start of the second half, They just ran it down our throats, controlled the whole quarter, scored 2 touchdowns, and we went from up 17-7 at the time. That style switched the whole game. So, yeah, I mean, it's a clear run the ball, lower the possessions of the game by keeping your offense on the field with the run game, keep your defense fresh. You don't have to show them a lot of different stuff because there's not a lot of possession. So when they get you to 3rd and long, you can bring more exotic blitzes because they're not getting enough possessions to catch up on everything, that you're running. And then make sure to rush 4, play the shell back with the safeties, dare them to run, and get your pressure with a 4-man rush and 7 in coverage.
Yeah. During the 5-game win streak, it seemed like the Cowboys could do no wrong. But, yesterday's game, it seemed like everything went wrong. Is this a game where everything goes wrong and you build from it, or is it a fundamental problem in your eyes, Mike?
I would say the run defense, since it was 32nd in EPA per rush allowed, and the pass protection are fundamental problems that continually show up. The rest of the stuff, Dak missing a deep ball, he's been a killer on that. They're normally great on special teams. I mean, Sam Williams I don't know if he just has never been taught what to do when you broke through, but he got through so fast. All he had to do was walk up to the kicker's foot, and he would have kicked it right into his hands. But he did a weird jump, which you're not supposed to do. You're supposed to dive at the leg, So, that kind of stuff was what it was. But there are stuff that is an issue consistently. So, I don't know if they could fix it either with the way their team is. Teams that can exploit those deficiencies, I don't know what they do to change that.
Brenden, what about you? Is this a game we can build off of, or do we have some fundamental problems here?
It's fundamental problems. I hate people seeing this. Oh, well, Dallas needed this game to wake him up. I thought that was a San Fran game. I thought that was a wake-up game. I thought that's what we were supposed to have. Championship teams they usually don't even have 1. They don't have 2 in the same season of getting their ass kicked. And they're okay, hey guys, this is actually a problem. We need to talk about this. What? It's you're getting blown every time you've lost. We played offensively great against Seattle. We played decent against Philly. But it's just the coaches play scared, and as soon as they think, oh shit, they have a good roster, they have a good coach. All right, we're playing conservative. We were all like, dude, McCarthy's being ballsy. He's throwing it deep. We're throwing it when we don't need to. This is what we've been needing. I'm not doing that. I'm running it down your throat with Tony Pollard. I'm gonna throw it outside to Jake Ferguson getting flagged, or we're gonna throw 1 deep ball a game, and then that's what happens. San Fran, the only thing it happens is you got that Tony Pollard touchdown. Devontae Turpin touchdown off a deep ball, and then nothing else happened. Same thing with this game. They tried going to Cooks. That didn't work. Okay, cool. That's out of the playbook.
Yeah. Matthew had some insight here. I genuinely believe that this team being as young as it is, particularly at the impact player position, this was a tune-up game in the sense of discipline and intensity. What are your thoughts on that, Mike?
I think if it was, they failed badly at being at the right intensity and playing the right discipline. Also, Brenden, you got to add away, dude. You got to stop talking about getting blown. Blown away. When you don't add away, it is a different thing.
Yeah, I will say this, not just the players, but man, I missed most of the first quarter yesterday.
That's why we lost.
Shout out to Prescott for keeping me up to date on everything. But I was watching, just the play calling and how we were playing, and I was like, man, we're down by 20 points and we're still just running. We're not even taking any deep shots. We're not targeting the middle of the field. We're playing scared. It's like we'll talk about it a little bit more, but it's like, man, we had just kind of given up after the first half. It was strange. Like bad game by the coaches and the players for sure.
It felt like a game when I rewatched it. It felt like a game that they said we just ain't got it at half, and just decided not to adjust anything. We're just going to run the same stuff. We're not going to give anything away. This one's already over, which is shocking to say but that's what it felt like looking at the tape.
Yeah. This is going to be a little crazy, but we've seen the defense be inconsistent this season. Brenden, has Dan Quinn regressed?
I don't think you can say regress against better every time we've had a loss, we've had the same conversations. It's not like bad on us because we're just talking about what we see, but it's the same thing every time against decent/bad competition. Dan Quinn's pinpoint. He knows exactly what he's going to do. He's going to do all these stunts, he can do all this crazy stuff to get players in the right position. It's the entire coaching staff. It's going to be face good competition. Like everyone's just scared. I don't know what's going on, man. I don't know what to do. We're just gonna run our base defense. We're not gonna do anything. It's just so stupid. They can't stop decent teams with the same scheme every time they beat you the same way every time.
Well, let me rephrase it. Has Dan Quinn not maybe regressed, but started to be figured out, figured out?
Oh yeah, easily. Oh man, hey, they're not that big on the D line. Their linebackers are small. Why don't we run it and see what happens? Oh, that's a 30-yard gain. I think that works. And he doesn't try to put anyone out there. He doesn't try to fill the box a little bit more. Why do I keep seeing Donovan Wilson and Jaron Curse back 12, 15 yards? I know you don't have Malik Hooker. I understand. But why? They're both in the box safeties, and you're like, oh, hey, let's have you 15 yards back. Hey, let's put some younger, smaller guys out there. Why? I'd much rather see Izzy or Thomas back there instead of seeing Jaron Curse, who can't move that much.
Mike, what about you? Do you think Quinn has regressed at all, or maybe starting to be figured out?
I think definitely anytime you have, years of tape on somebody, that he gets figured out a little bit. But I would like to remind, all pro corner, gone. Starting number one linebacker, gone. Starting free safety, gone. Starting one technique. The rest of them are very, very young and not very like he's the one that, that's why you brought him in, was he's your guy there. The rest of them are rotational guys to give him a break, but he's that one technique. Jonathan Hankins been great at it for a decade. He lost a lot. How many teams just could lose Diggs? And I mean, Diggs is that dude. Like he's that guy. He's an all-pro, 11, interceptions, eliminate a guy corner. And if you take him away from most teams, you're going to be like, oh, you're going to be in trouble. Then you add your one big physical, ish. LVE is not that physical, but for them, he's their thumper type linebacker, and your one technique, and your only true free safety on the whole roster. It's a lot. That's a lot. That is a lot to deal with, especially when teams know how to attack you. Now, is he good enough to get stops, or do they still do well against when they have their healthy guys? Yeah, but you're gonna get figured out some, which is gonna hurt, and then you also add injuries, it's gonna hurt. And I told people when I told him, I go, Hankins, that Hankins injury is gonna kill him. People were like, oh, he's lost this and that. And I'm like, yeah, but you lose Diggs, right? And you go, okay, we can't leave this guy one-on-one. We got to give shade help sometimes. That's going to take this guy from here. All right, so you got to play like this to make sure our run game still is good. That way we don't get killed. Then you lose LVE. Okay, we're going to have a smaller linebacker here, so we're going to have to make this adjustment too. Hankins, you got to be solid here and take on the double teams. You guys got to keep your edges because we got to keep Bell protected and Clark protected and let them run and get the – then Hankins goes down. It's not just Hankins. It's a continual set of adjustments every time you lose somebody. And so, it probably impacts them big time. It's going to be hard to win without those guys, but they still got a chance because they got the quarterback. Quarterback gives them a chance on the other end.
Yeah, so forgive me, guys. I did mention that I missed most of the first quarter and some of the second, but at some point, did Malik Hooker, did he go down? What did I miss there?
He was out from the start, ankle injury. He didn't practice. They thought he was going to be able to go. It never really got going for him. And so they just wanted to they decided they'd rather rest him for the game.
I totally missed that. That was that's shocking to me. How's it? How is it severe? I mean, they thought he was going to possibly play this last week.
He was supposed to play.
Okay.
Brian Broaddus, voice of the Star, Patrick Nosey Walker, and another who I'm blanking on, all said Malik Hooker's playing. And then on the day of the game, he ended up inactive. And everybody was like, oh, shoot. And they were like, I guess they didn't. He wasn't able to do what they want, what he expected to do, so they weren't going to risk it.
Yeah. Brenden mentioned that you're convincing, Mike, and I have to agree, you mentioned all those injuries. It's interesting, though, because after we lose Trayvon Diggs, like everybody was shocked at how well the secondary's been playing. Then we lose LVE, and then Damone Clark really starts to come on. Marquise Bell starts to shine. But then, of all people, Jonathan Hankins, he goes down, and it's like, man, that really made the most impact. Yeah,
because it compiles on itself. Yeah. You have to do certain things to make up for the loss of Diggs, certain things to make up for the loss of LVE. And now it's like, damn, dude, okay, let's try this, and obviously they got killed, so it didn't work.
Well, I hate this next question. This is my question, but Mike, would it be crazy to move on from Dan Quinn after this season?
I think he'll go get a head coaching job. So I don't think we'll have to move on. I think, you could see the writing on the wall. If he doesn't do it this year, every year, as good as the defense is, you're going to lose. This next year, you're probably going to lose Fowler. You're probably going to lose Dorrance Armstrong. You are likely to lose Gilmore. I hope they bring him back. But with Bland and paying Trayvon Diggs, Gilmore probably goes. Jordan Lewis probably goes. And so there's only so much you can do when you know how the ownership is and Dak, Micah, Lamb, Fergie. There's going to be guys that are going to have to pay within the next 1 to 4 years. And so, it is what it is. He's probably going to be smart enough to go, hey, I gave it a 3-year run. We tried to get one, whether it happens or not this year. Go and take that Chargers job where you get Justin Herbert.
Yeah. Brenden, if you had to choose, would you rather re-sign Jake Ferguson or Jordan Lewis?
All right, let me think about this. You got to think about the contracts. You got to think about the money. Oh, so Jordan Lewis already went to the XFL. Cool, got it. All right, so yeah, we'll keep Fergie here.
Enjoy that half-eaten pimento sandwich. No, but seriously, Brenden, if Dan Quinn leaves, how are you feeling about the loss of Dan Quinn next season?
If Al Harris is here, I don't know how much I feel differently. Dan Quinn is doing great with what he's had, and of course, Mike pinpointed it perfectly with all the injuries and all. But for what we get beat by, Dallas has never invested in size at linebacker. They've never invested at size on the defensive line. They're all about speed. They're like, we just run faster than you. We're going to beat you. And so Dan Quinn's like, okay, I'll work with it. So honestly,
LMO, do you think that the Renegades are willing to will and deal with that old two and Jerry, Wildcat and Jerry?
Oh, that's awesome. Oh, that's awesome.
So, yeah, man, not only was the impact of Hankins not being there, but as soon as Zach Martin went down, the offensive lines really came to a crumble. Brenden, how much of a difference would Zach Martin have made in this game?
He would have helped, of course, but Terrence Steele was a liability, and he has been every time we face good competition. Other than the Panthers, he did do well against Brian Burns. I will give him his flowers there, but he got beat. Zach Martin, of course, would help. He's a Hall of Famer. Anytime you add a Hall of Famer to any part of your team, they're going to help. But you would have given Dak 0.2 more seconds, because he would have to run to help Biotish, help Terrence Steele. Zach Martin would have had his hands full. But, Bass kind of got his ass kicked.
Yeah, he did. Mike, do you think Zach Martin helps this game at all?
Yeah, if they could have put him at DT or defensive line, run a little bit, I think that would have helped out. Yeah, that was too much of a butt whooping on the other end of the field for Zach Martin to make too much of a difference.
Yeah. Can we win a playoff game without Zach Martin, Mike?
Steele and Biotish would probably not. Steele is a solid right tackle. You could live with him as your right tackle if your right guard, left tackle, and center are all very good. Unfortunately, the center is also just a solid center. And so the right guard being over there, being Mr. Hall of Fame, lifts them up. And then the left side is typically very, very good. And that's how you get your line to be good. But next year, you already signed Steele. You know you're stuck with it. Zach Martin is extended. They probably got to go out and improve the center position. And then they can maybe be upward where you can deal with Steele. Without Zach Martin, they're not winning a playoff game, I don't think.
Agreed there. So we know that Dak's been on an MVP tear as of late, but when you look at this game, Brenden, did this game raise any questions about Dak or answer any questions about him that maybe some of the haters had, saying he can't win a big game, can't win in bad weather, anything like that for you?
When your entire team loses, of course the quarterback will get the most blame, but it's everybody. Yeah. Like I keep like, oh well, he did this. Well, this player did this. The best I can say is Tony Pollard looked okay in the first half. That's the best I got for you. If your running back is your best thing and nothing else is going right, then yeah. But his MVP, it's over. I loved it. The hype was awesome. We got to talk about it every week. I love talking about it. Brock Purdy, here you go. You're welcome.
Mike, what about you? Did this answer any question or raise any questions about Dak with this performance?
No, same old that we knew. We knew, early. He misses throws early. He's a little hyped up. He's not great in bad weather. We know that. Sometimes he doesn't hold the ball or take the ball when he should on option runs. That stuff's all known. So no, not really.
I got you. So Brenden kind of mentioned it there, but did this end Dak's MVP campaign, his chances?
Pretty much. I mean, it's on severe life support. I guess if they went out, beat Miami, on the road and it was a Dak win. Like Dak came out, they won it 38-31, and Dak was the reason. And then they won the last two games. The offense played great, and Purdy lost to the Ravens and another surprise team, or didn't play well against one of them. Maybe you have a chance. But even then, I think Lamar Jackson then would, by beating the Niners, would prop himself up. So it would be very tough. I could see a slim thing, but it's like a faint heartbeat.
Yeah, I feel like Dak has to really win all three games, and Purdy has to lose one for Dak to have a chance, I feel like.
And Lamar Jackson, if the game they lose is to, I think the winner of Baltimore Niners ends up vaulting Dak as well. Like Purdy's already over him, but I think like if Lamar Jackson beats the Niners, I think he would go above Dak, and they would still keep Purdy right there because it's like, well, he lost to the Ravens. They're really good. It would make it tough. But if Purdy beats the Ravens, then it's like, well, I mean, they're beating everybody. So if they lost one game to a nobody, it'd be like, oh, who cares? They had already done what they needed to do. So it makes it very difficult.
Yeah. All right. So I know there wasn't too many highlights for the Cowboys in this game, but Brenden, who's your player of the game this week?
We should all have the exact same answer. Like, if any of y'all say anything differently, then we need to talk. It's James Cook. Like,
Dalvin Cook's brother.
Oh, Dalvin Cook's brother, dude. There's no other answer. He dominated. He averaged, I think when I heard from Tom Denny, he averaged like a little over 7 yards a carry total. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And I'm still pissed that he didn't get the game ball. I know we lost, but I want the guy who destroyed us to get the ball, not the guy who had under 100 yards.
Yeah, they're very strange for Josh Allen to get that game ball, man. Very, very weird by by Sean McDermott to give him the ball there. Mike, who's your player spotlight?
I heard he broke some record.
10 games in the season with a passing and a rushing touchdown.
Oh, okay.
That's awesome. Damn.
He's quite the player, man. That offense is scary, dude. I feel like the Buffalo Bills, the team we faced, that was like how Eagles scratched and clawed their way out through some tough victories, and then they ran into us and we did them bad. That's what the Bills just did to us,
I agree.
That's fair.
Player spotlight, Mike. Sorry about that.
I don't. Nobody played well enough to get a spotlight, and everyone was bad enough to not like pick someone out to spotlight bad. So I
No, fair
I
enough.
don't have one.
Yeah. How about you, Brenden?
First off, Mike's right. This entire team played terribly. Only reason why I wanted to point this out is because Sam Williams is Randy Gregory. But he is Randy. He'll have a play like, holy crap, that was awesome. And he'll just make a boneheaded mistake. The very next play, and you're like, why the hell are you here? Like, why would you do this to us? Dude, he got the stop on third down on Josh Allen. He's the one who did it. And then runs into the punter. How are you this stupid? I'm sorry. I would say I don't mean any like disrespect, but this is all disrespectful. I'm sorry. But like, dude, like I want to root for you. You are a beast when you want to. I said the same thing about Randy Gregory. I said the same exact thing. Randy Gregory could be a beast, and he's looking better with Sam Fran now than he ever has. So that's great. But it's just awful.
Both monsters, like second round pick pass rushers, too, guys that fell not because of their size or talent or ability, but because everybody worried about their their mindset.
Can we just get in a scandal where we lose our second round pick every year? Jerry can do something. Like I bet he can do something that'll be in the media where he'll lose something. Can we just get in, like tamper with a player that we'll never get? I hear that we're trading for Aaron Donald. Can we just talk about that? And then, oh no, that's a second round pick.
Sam Williams is like the puppy you take out of the kennel where you let him out, he's all excited, and he can sit when you tell him to. He can do tricks, but then you turn your back on him and you look back at him and he's like peeing on your couch or he's tearing up a shoe or something. You can't trust him, man. But I'm glad he's on our team. But yeah, man, he has a lot of learning to do for sure. I'm gonna give a spotlight. It's not necessarily, I shouldn't call it a spotlight, but the Dallas D line. How and why did they not fill the B gap? Allen and company ran right through you. They kind of played heartless, man. It was a strange game for them. I know they lost Jonathan Hankins, but they just, there was no effort. You kind of talked about it earlier, Mike, where they, after the first half, they just knew that the game was out of hand, so everybody gave up. But I felt like the D-line was just really all out of sorts yesterday.
It was bad.
All right, here we are with the views from the sideline, Mike. Excuse me here. Yeah, so why didn't Quinn make any adjustments on defense to help the run game? Was it stubbornness, lack of resources, or is it another reason?
I have no idea. I'd love to ask him that. They didn't even line up like if they would line up like blockers to linemen on one side. Like they wouldn't, you a lot of times you'll shift to make sure you have enough people to get through on that side. So they can't just block you straight up and run on you. We didn't even do that. So I don't know, to be honest. I have no idea. I'd love to be able to talk to him about it, but I don't know what was going on there. Personnel, I assume, just too many injuries. And nothing he could do.
Yeah, I saw Coy Media kind of questioning it too, so that's why I wanted to bring it up. Maybe he had some insight on it, but that was strange how he didn't make any adjustments there in the second half.
None.
Okay, Brenden, true or false? None of these games matter. It's all about the playoffs.
Well, it's true. It's true and false. It's true to an extent because the playoffs is what matters. You can lose out, but you just squeak into the playoffs. You can be like the Giants when they upset the undefeated Patriots. They just squeaked in and they went, and so that does matter. But games like this show you your problems and show you kind of like who you actually are. That's what happened. Like these games is like most teams that are dominating. The Ravens will lose some like heartbreakers, but the Ravens are dominant all year. The San Fran, they had a little losing streak, but it wasn't by like crazy scores. And now they're coming back and they're playing like nothing happened and they're dominant. You got your ass kicked 3 times now.
Yeah. Mike, true or false? None of these games matter. It's all about the playoffs.
I guess technically it's true. We made the playoffs, and if we won all the way and went on the 1 seed, and the Niners came in and beat us after the bye week, nobody would care, So, and if we go and get the 5 seed and we win Tampa, Philly, San Francisco, and go to the Super Bowl, nobody's going to care that we were the 5 seed. So,
yeah,
technically, I guess it's true.
True for me is True. Now that we're in the playoffs, none of these games matter to me because I want us to see do something in the playoffs and not be one and done for once. It was nice to get that road victory off the monkey off their back last year with Dak on the road, but we saw what happened against San Francisco. So, really, it just all depends on what we do in the playoffs and really what we can do against San Francisco in my eyes.
Yeah.
All right, Brenden, one word. When you found out Dallas had secured a playoff spot after the Green Bay loss, you felt blank.
I felt I have two meh because I didn't care because all I was thinking was the Buffalo game, but also I felt a little hope. I'm like, wait, if we keep this tear going, we might be able to do something. Your team will have energy. You'll believe in yourself. And then they died. So it was just meh. I'm like, okay, cool. We have more games to play.
Yeah, Mike, how about you? When you found out Dallas had secured a playoff spot after the Green Bay loss, you felt what?
Nothing. They were 10-3. They were obviously making the playoffs. The NFC is not that strong, so I didn't feel. I knew we were in the playoffs a few weeks ago, so it was like, eh.
Yeah. Yeah, when I found out, again, our guy Prescott, he actually let me know, and I felt annoyed just because Dallas was getting it taken to the house, man. Putting it on an embarrassing performance. Of course, I'm happy that we're in the playoffs, but at that moment, I was pretty annoyed just because of how we were playing. So nice that we're in the playoffs, man. But I don't know. I hate losing games like this after being on one of the higher highs of the season. To come out and put up a performance like that is something else.
Yeah, it was too much of a stinker.
Yeah. All right, here we are at top 5, and this is going to be in honor of our newest guy, Brenden Smith. Tonight we'll be ranking our top 5 breads. Brenden, tell me right that you start us off. Give us number 5 on your list.
Y'all, okay, I know I talk about bread when it comes to Thanksgiving. Y'all are acting like that's all I talk about.
The Breadman, Brenden Smith.
Well, I'm just gonna start off super small, but I said Hawaiian rolls because those make my sandwiches. Man, they're pretty. I'm in love with them. You get that with a little bit of beef and some cheese, bro, and you're just good. It's just nice and sweet while you eat.
My wife and I had ham and turkey sliders on Hawaiian rolls for dinner tonight, so they make excellent sliders.
Nice.
I've never done sliders with them. That sounds pretty good.
Very good. Mike, how about you? Number 5 on your list.
Number 5 for me is garlic cheese bread. I like to take a cheese mixture, add Parmesan to it, spread it on. I like to rub the bread with garlic and olive oil, spread the cheese mixture on, then top it with jack or cheddar or whatever, and then bacon in the oven. It's really good. Pretty good, especially with anything red sauce.
Yeah. I can't believe I didn't think about this bread, but if you've ever been to Red Lobster, the Cheddar Bay biscuits, that did not make my list, but man, those are melt in your mouth.
Cheddar Bay biscuits are legit.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, number 5 on my list, I went with buttermilk biscuits, and my favorite meal to have with them, but of course, biscuits and gravy, and it has to have a runny egg on top.
That's such a good one. Biscuits is good. Biscuits probably should have made my list. I went too sweet with mine.
Oh, yeah. You went sweet instead of savory. That's surprising. You don't usually do that, Mike. Number 4 on my list, I'm going with garlic bread, and my favorite meal to have it with is, of course, spaghetti. But, yeah, garlic bread, man. You can't really eat Italian food without garlic bread, dude. It's just not American.
Yeah, garlic bread or the old Olive Garden breadsticks.
Mike, how about you? Number 4 on your list.
Number 4 on my list. This is in honor of Denny. Cane's Texas toast,
dude.
Oh,
I didn't think about that until he said garlic bread. And I thought of the Texas. Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah, Cane's is that little Denny does. All he really eats is chicken tenders, but he loves Cane's, and I'm like, all right, it's okay, but why? He's like Texas toast. I love the Texas toast. So the Texas toast is pretty good, and I I make it better. So my Texas toast would be better, but I'm doing Cane's Texas toast. Shout out to Cane's, old manager of mine, now manages one in Fresno, and it's Little Denny's favorite spot wherever it is. So there you go, easy.
Do you like the sauce, Mike?
Sure, it's good. It's okay.
Yeah.
I don't really do fast food, dude. So I go there only when it's Denny and like I have no money to go. Like, hey, you don't want to go to like Yard House or Lazy Dog or somewhere where we can get something where I could get something other than chicken strips. But if I'm low on money, I'll go there. It's better than like regular fast food. It's in between. In-N-Out's like fast food that even I'll eat, and then there's McDonald's and Burger King, all the Jack, all those lower ones that I kind of avoid. And Cane's in the middle. I'll eat it.
Gotcha. Brenden, number 4 on your list, sir.
I can't believe I didn't think of Texas toast. That actually pisses me off. I didn't think of toast or anything. I was just thinking like straight actual like bread items.
Biscuits too for me. Yeah. Biscuits. I can't believe I forgot. Biscuits.
Well, actually, I just flipped the little roll a bit because y'all talk about. I'm not a big fan of Olive Garden anymore. I'm not, dude. But their breadsticks are still top. Like their food, in my opinion, is like mid. Is it bad? No. Is it the best spaghetti you've ever had? No, nowhere near. But those breadsticks, dude, you'll fill up on those.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. In regards to your comment about Cane's, Mike, it's fast casual, sir.
I forgot.
Sir, I make fast casual. Where I work, or it's about, I'm working currently, not for long. But where I work is fast casual. Cane's is fast food. They just fry everything real quick and bring it up to you.
I forgot fast casual, Paul. I forgot about that.
Second time you've ever heard it in your life.
Yep. We continue it.
All right, Brenden, what's number 3 on your list?
Well, Mike will know that's what to do. I love Uncle Julio's tortillas.
Oh, flour tortillas.
Tortillas and bread.
You get to watch them make them right in front of you, man.
Dude, it all happens either, of course, where you're sitting, but mainly like where we sat behind you. You smell it, you see this go, bro. It's pretty good. Man,
their flour tortillas in their queso is a meal in itself, dude.
That's true.
I don't know. Do you have Uncle Julio's in Cali, Mike?
No, I love warm tortillas. It's just we're doing a top 5 breads, and so I was picking breads.
What's the main ingredient in bread? I forget, Mike. Is it flour or what is it?
Flour would be flour, butter, yeast.
Yeah, I got you.
It's okay. It's okay, Mike. It's okay.
Mike, what's number 3 on your list?
Chocolate chip banana bread. So this is your yellow banana bread that has chocolate chips in it and then bananas and typically like walnuts.
Yeah.
Such a good combination. So delicious.
My wife literally made a loaf of banana bread with chocolate chips and walnuts last night. So good.
So good. And it has to have for me, it's better with the chocolate chips to make it richer and the walnuts for texture.
Yeah. Oh, man. Matt's killing it tonight with the Mexican sweetbreads. I didn't think about that. I don't eat them enough to put those on there, but when you get a good one of those are definitely clutch. Pan dulce. All right, number 3 for me, I'm going with a croissant, man. There's a place called Charleston Steakhouse where they give you a croissant with your salad and it's served with like this warm honey butter sauce. Man, and their croissants are so soft, like melt in your mouth. Love croissants.
Flaky croissants, so good.
And I love when you go to like a donut shop in the morning and they have like their pigs in a blanket in the traditional roll, but then they have it in the croissant too. Man, over the top with that. Number 2 on my list, flour tortillas, homemade, of course. And my favorite meal to have them with is Mexican breakfast, man. You get yourself a breakfast burrito or just a Mexican plate with potatoes and the beans, and you have fresh flour tortillas. Best breakfast of all time.
What is the main ingredient in donuts?
Sugar?
No, the glaze. I just don't get the flours. I wouldn't have had donut or tortillas in bread personally, but what are you gonna do? I go by the.
Well, hey, we didn't have donuts. Donuts wasn't allowed to be on the list.
That's what I'm saying. No, we didn't have donuts, but we allowed tortillas. It's weird to me.
Yes, but then we also allowed croissants. Remember that?
Yeah, I'm about to freak everybody's world with my number 2 anyway.
Well, Mike, here we are. Give us your number 2.
Cronut. I snuck it in there. It's a donut made out of croissant dough. It's like so good too. It's like super. Imagine croissant texture, which is really good. And then there's a lot of yeast in specific donuts. Yes. And then it's topped like a donut. My favorite one, because we're doing specifics, is a s'mores one, Nutella, marshmallows, and then it's topped with marshmallows and graham cracker.
Oh
So
man,
good.
sounds incredible.
Cronut, s'mores cronut. Ugh.
Brenden, number 2 on your list.
Of course, you all never had this, but my grandma's, she makes 2 different rolls. She makes, of course, normal rolls and brand rolls. Dude, they are the best thing, a part of anytime we have dinner at my grandparents' house. Everybody's looking forward to it. We're all pissed off if we don't have enough. It's so good. You can put enough butter on there, super sweet. You have it like with your pork chops or just whatever she made. It's so good.
I like that, man.
Beautiful.
There used to be a place called Black Eyed Pea, and they had wheat rolls. I love their wheat rolls and broccoli and cheese soup. Man. Rolls didn't make it on my list, but I love a good wheat roll or a Hawaiian roll or a yeast roll. All right, Brenden, number 1 on your list.
Oh, this was easy. Texas Roadhouse rolls, dude. Those.
Man.
No, I've got a question for you. I didn't do this till recent because they have, of course, different chains. So there's one that's Texas Roadhouse, but it's called Logan's. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I got pulled pork sandwiches. I switched out the bread for the rolls, and I had that as a sandwich. Best thing, / unhealthiest thing I've ever had, but it was so good. So sweet, but oh, dude, it was awesome.
Last night, my wife. The honey butter, the cinnamon honey butter? Do you put that on there? It's a must. So good. My mom, my wife, my son, and I all went to Texas Roadhouse last night, and we had 2 baskets of those rolls with extra butter. So I turned down Texas Roadhouse because 1, I'm on my reset, so I'm not supposed to, but 2, because we have the pod and I didn't want to miss it. Muhammad and his wife and their friend for her birthday went to Texas Roadhouse tonight. So I've been craving steak, and my mom was kind enough to take us there, so it was nice. All right, so Mike, what's number 1 on your list? Number 1 on my list, I want to shout out. Get in the end zone. Get in the end zone. There you go. Tie game if they make the extra point. Seattle and Philly. I wanted to point out because I've only had it 2 times. It was very recently, so it wasn't on my mind when I was doing the list. But my niece's wife makes an incredible, it's a Nutella. I'm going to say it wrong because it's not baklava. That's what I always say to mess with her. But now that's all I think of is that, because I know it's not called that, but I just say it's baklava because she's like, it's not that. But she makes this dough that has Nutella in there, and it's supposed to be s'mores. Obviously I like that flavoring, but it's so good. Babka. It's babka is what it is. And I just wanted to shout that out. I didn't have it on my list. It should have been. That's my fault. It's really amazing. My number 1 is a shout out to my neighbor. I had a neighbor for friggin' 4 decades that every Christmas would bring the family a chocolate chip bread. I don't think it was banana, but it was like a banana or a zucchini bread made the same way, but it was a chocolate one, and it had chocolate chips and nuts in it. And it would always come really cold, like they took it out of the freezer. And it wouldn't last a day. The whole loaf would be gone. But we always got it for Christmas. She just passed before last year. We got the last ones last year. We won't be getting any this year because she passed away. But shout out to her. But everybody knew that bread was coming. And it was like, okay, hide it over here. Get it so the main people would get it and the other people in the house could F off, because this was our shit forever and we wanted all of it. So that bread, June, my neighbor, that bread that you made us for Christmas for my entire life, it was amazing. So I appreciate it. I like the way you finish your list, Mike. I'm kind of finishing mine in a similar way. Shout out to my Nana, RIP, for introducing me to this bread. She always had this, it felt like, with every meal except for taco night. But I'm going with cornbread, man. And my favorite way to eat it, she introduced me to this way too, is you take some Karo syrup and butter, warm up your cornbread, and it's like a dessert. Man. It's almost a meal in itself. You eat about 3 pieces of that, dude. So good. My list I would redo immediately to add biscuits, cornbread, and the babka. that she does. I don't remember what my first three were because I threw my notes away, but whatever the 5, 4, and 3 were, switch them out for the babka at 3, cornbread at 4, biscuits at 5. That's what it should have been. Sorry, Canes.
Underrated cornbread for sure, man.
Yes.
All right, man. As always, I enjoyed this discussion tonight. Mike, while we're getting you out of here, remind the people they can find you on X.
Just missed under an hour at CD Piglet.
Brenden, remind the people they can find you on X.
At Brenden_Smith 26.
Guys, I'm Paul Ryan. You can find me on Twitter at Paul_Ryan15. We appreciate you joining us, and we'll see you guys next week.
Nobody wants you on the podcast.